Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by the IBF super middleweight champion of the world, Caleb Plant. Caleb, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Appreciate you for linking up with me.
Oh, always, always. I guess the first question is, without a fight date in the books as yet, and you're not just coming off a fight either, there's so much attention on you right now. How does that feel?
I mean, it's cool. That's not really where I place my main focus. Is on if everybody's paying attention to me or nobody's paying attention to me. I just try to focus on, you know, on my work, and as long as every day I'm going to the gym or doing my strength and conditioning, doing my weights, keeping my weight in check, staying on my water, whatever, just stuff like that. That's really the daily focuses. But it's nice, these are the moments that you work for in boxing to be mentioned in big fights and in great fights. So that's what I work for.
And it's a fight with Canelo Alvarez that you've talked about for quite some time now. You seem to be on a collision course. You hold one of the major world titles at the weight class that Canelo is in. And people talking about it, hopefully, for September. How close, in your view, is that fight to being confirmed and made?
Yeah, I think real soon here, our teams are going to sit down and, do whatever it takes to get those things ironed out.
And what did you make of his most recent performance against Billy Joe Saunders? I've seen some comments you've made publicly already, but just tell us how you analyse the fight.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Billy came out, he won the first round. Canelo wasn't doing much, and then Canelo started to take over a little bit and started dictating the pace and what was happening. But towards the end, those last couple, 2 rounds or so, I feel like Billy kind of started dictating what was happening and dictating the pace and finding some success. And when it was all said and done, I had it 5-3. But that's one round away from it being tied up. So that's a good performance. But he ran into a big shot, and that was it.
And I know you weren't too happy with some critics afterwards comparing Billy Joe Saunders to you stylistically. Just tell us a little bit about why that is and where you feel you're very different from each other.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any world champion wants to be compared to any other world champion in their weight class. I mean, they that's just not how it works. But going down the list, I'm taller than him, I'm longer than him, I'm bigger than him, I punch harder than him, and I feel like I'm a more dedicated fighter. I've dedicated my whole life to this sport, and anyone who knows me, they know that I stay in the gym year round. I keep my weight in check year round, and I follow the rules to a T on what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing. And I know Billy's even admitted to maybe not always living like that or training like that. And so you know I'm not going to be compared to him in those ways because I'm not going to be compared to anybody in those ways. Um, I feel like that's where I separate myself is in my work and in my preparation. So um, yeah, I just feel like that I have all the tools necessary to do what I need to do.
And as you noted, it was a pretty competitive fight right up until the end. Did Canelo's performance tell you anything you didn't already know about him?
No, it may have reiterated some stuff, but it's not like I just learned anything new based off this one fight. So
And there were some comments attributed to you in The Athletic not long after the fight where you were talking about purses for a Canelo fight. And you said you felt that both Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith had been sold out to an extent with the purses they accepted.
yeah.
What was going through your mind with that? Do you think it was just too low generally? Do you think they could have got more?
Yeah, I think they should have got more. And you know, I know Eddie's been rocking with Colin for a long time. So for him to give him a 5 week camp and maybe he did try to talk him out of it. You know what I'm saying? I guess we don't know all the details, but maybe if you're fighting the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, why would you give yourself half the amount of time that they call for championship training camp, which is usually 8 weeks. If you got 5 weeks, that's only 4 weeks of training, and one last week of finishing up weight and traveling, doing whatever you got to do. And so you're not putting yourself in the best position to get the job done. And if you're not putting yourself in the best position to get the job done, then what are you doing it for? Are you doing it just for the money? Because, you know, to be great, to be legendary, it has to be more than, it has to be about more than just that. And so
And you were very insistent in that interview that you don't want to sell yourself out. You want to get every penny that you're worth, no more, but certainly no less either.
yeah, I'm not trying to price myself out. You know, maybe there's a misconception on just because I say that, well, then I would try to price myself out. I'm not looking to price myself out of, you know, a fight that I want and a fight that I know in my heart that I can win. But, you know, also just don't want to get anything less than what I would be owed. And, you know, when it comes to fighting over here in America, you know, I don't have the fan base that Canelo does, but I have a bigger fan base over here than Callum and Billy do.
Mm.
And I bring a lot more views than Callum and Billy do. And, you know, so.
We spoke to Lou DiBella last week, and he echoed a lot of the points you've just made. He said that something around the $10 million mark is far from outrageous. It's a fair amount in his view. Now, I don't expect you to make your purse demands via Seconds Out, but does that seem like a ballpark that you'd enter into?
I mean, you know, I have a great team around me, and thus far they've done a perfect job. I don't really feel like there's anybody better in the game than Al Heyman, and there's certainly no better manager than Luis DeCubas. So they've done a perfect job with me this far, and I know we're going to sit down here real soon and get things worked out. And but you know, that number sounds about right, or somewhere in there. You know, I'm not really sure, and I'm not going to say for sure because you know I have a great team around me, and you know, what I know best is fighting. You know, I don't know. I'm not completely clueless on the negotiations, but what I do best is fighting. And when it comes to fighting, that's something that people can't tell me about. And as far as, you know, sitting down and negotiating, that's what I have a team for. That's why Canelo has a team, you know, and we'll leave that job to them. And when it comes to fighting, you know, me and him will do that best.
You've been built up or built yourself up incredibly well on the PBC affiliated broadcasters over in the US, obviously Showtime, Fox. How do you have a preference in terms of which broadcaster takes the Canelo fight? He's worked with DAZN recently, but is a free agent.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it's a secret that fighting on pay-per-view would bring a lot more revenue in, you know, as opposed to fighting on an app. You know, it would be leaving millions on the table, not just for myself, but much more millions for him.
Hmm.
So, you know, I guess I would just wonder why. Again, I'm not negotiating. I have a team for that. But just off the top of my head, I would just wonder why he would want to leave those millions on the table. So.
And how big an occasion would this be? I mean, you've made no secret of it. You've been through a lot in your life, both good and bad already. But a fight with Canelo for all the major belts at 168, where would that rank in terms of your life, momentous occasions?
I mean, as far as on the good side, I'm sure I'd put it at the top of it. So, um, you know, I've been doing this for a long time, and like I said, I've sacrificed a lot for this. I've worked really hard for this, and this has been my dream. You know, to become an undisputed fighter, to be on the pound for pound list, and to cement a legacy in boxing that people can't erase. So, you know, I've thought this out, you know, many times over my head, and I know how far I'm willing to go to get my hand raised in that fight.
And with around 4 months to go until the projected date for that fight, what does training or ticking over look like for you at the moment?
I mean, it's something every day, you know what I'm saying? But regardless of if I have a fight coming up or not, you know, there's still, I'm always working, you know, whether I'm at PT, um, whether I'm at strength and conditioning, whether I'm doing stairs or in the boxing gym or, you know, but between all those things, you know, there's nothing more important than making sure you're working on your craft and that you're in the boxing gym, you know, working on your skills and sharpening what you do best. So, you know, people who know me, like I said, they know that I'm always in the gym. They know that I'm always working. But you also have to peak at the right time, too. And, you know, for a fight of this magnitude, I think an 8-week camp is plenty fair.
And obviously, a happy fighter is apparently a dangerous fighter, or so we're often told. So presumably, you're spending a lot of quality time with your family as well during this downtime or relative downtime.
Yeah, you know, I had a chance to go to the Canelo Billy Joe Saunders fight, but I really wanted to go home for Mother's Day and see my grandparents and you know, just check on my family and stuff like that. I felt like that would be time, you know, better spent with them than, you know, being out and about. So yeah, that's something that that I'm doing is, you know, my family lives in Tennessee and I'm in Vegas, so you know, can't always get out there, but it was good to go home and see them and yeah.
How aware are they of, obviously they're aware of what you do and I'm sure they're very proud of you. How aware are they that you're approaching this mega fight potentially?
They're aware, they know what's going on, but my grandfather, he's really up to date. You know, that's like my him and my dad. Those are my biggest heroes, and you know, those have been two strong men that I've had in my life that have helped me a lot. And my grandfather, he's always been a huge boxing fan. I can remember being a little kid and us staying up late, you know, watching boxing matches, and me telling him, you know, that's going to be me one day. That's going to be me one day. And he would, you know, he's always believed in me. So, um, you know, my grandfather, he's super excited.
Wow. Do you remember kind of some of the first fights you would have watched with him in the early hours?
Yeah, I mean, just people, even like people like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., you know, when he was first coming up and, you know, kind of coming up under his dad. And, you know, I'd tell him stuff like, man, I can beat him. I can beat him. Even when I got a little bit older, like, yeah, he can't beat me. He can't beat me. And, you know, just stuff like that. So, you know, like I said, my grandfather, he's been a boxing fan for a long time. And, you know, my whole family is, but my grandfather, you know, he's super supportive and, you know, one of my biggest fans for sure.
I think most people would favour you in that fight these days.
Yeah, probably so. Probably so.
Good stuff. Well, really appreciate your time. It's always good to catch up with you. I hope we can do this again once the fight is, fingers crossed, signed and sealed.
Yes, sir.
Good stuff. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day and we'll speak to you soon.